the custom mechanical keyboard scene wasn't always as accessible as it is today. You couldn't just get a nice fancy keyboard like you can these days with our sponsor PCBWay. PCBWay is the company for all your custom project needs, from 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, CNC machining, and of course custom PCBs. The possibilities are basically endless. So whether you want to build your own one-off keyboard or any other desk setup gadgets, you can do it all with PCBWay easily. Thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring, and let's get back into the video. It wasn't as easy as waiting for a QK65 drop and having your board in days, and not nearly as cheap either. But still, even then, there always comes a time when you have to replace the good old GK61 with Gateron yellows. And that was the situation I was in early 2021. Needed a fresh new update, but the only options I really had were offerings from KVD fans, specifically their Tofu series of keyboards. But how bland, just a block of aluminum, nothing special or unique. This couldn't have been my only choice. And then, in what seemed to be perfect timing, I found a keyboard which seemed to check out all the boxes for me, and only for a few bucks more than a Tofu 65 was shipping at the time. The Saka 68, a 68 key, 65% fully aluminum keyboard which promised quality for beginners and a wait time of less than 4 to 5 months, which at the time was really good. And this was on the last day of the group buy, February 11th. I had no time to waste, so I bought it because I knew I would regret if I didn't. The deal was almost too good to be true. Well, now all I have to do is wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. Okay, it's past July. Something's definitely gone wrong. I checked out the Discord server to find that they are only just finished CNCing the cases. They haven't even started the coding process. Thankfully, Fredasaurus, the designer of the keyboard, gave us all pretty consistent updates in the Discord server, which was really nice to see. But it wasn't until October 2021 that they actually started to ship the boards to the vendors, 3 months after the original, latest expected shipping date. But they weren't shipping all the boards at once. They're shipping the boards through boat, one vendor at a time. And the US vendor that I bought from just so happened to be the last one in line. Nice. Okay, just gotta wait a few more months, no biggie. People started actually getting the boards I think in around February 2022, which I find pretty funny because that's almost like exactly a year after the group buy period. But like I said, I still had to wait a few more months until the US vendor would ship the boards to me. But at this point I didn't really care that much, as at this point I already got 2 group buy keyboards, plus a few review units that came all before the shipping time for this board. After all the delays and delays and delays, I kind of just left it, you know, it'll be here when it's here. Oh well. Though the reason shipping itself took over 6 months was because of, well, tons of delays, such as COVID things, boat things, me specifically being the last person in line for these keyboards, and probably a few more reasons I'm too lazy to find, as after all, the Discord chat is over 1.5 years old, so no way I'm scrolling that high up. Okay, right about now is probably where I tell you I got the keyboard and give you a little review and whatnot, and I did get the keyboard in June, don't get me wrong, but there's still a little bit more to the story than just that. Just about every Saka 68 came with a bit of internal or external scratches, mine included, but some had it worse than others. Some people's boards had markings on the outside of the case, and honestly, at this age of custom keyboards, we basically expect flawless finishes, especially because boards at much cheaper prices also come with flawless finishes even at their cheaper prices. But it doesn't end there. Some people got dented boards, some of these PCB USB port was completely smashed. Oh wait, actually never mind. 2 of his PCBs came smashed. And some people's PCBs didn't even work. And if they did work, they didn't come pre-flashed with VIA, they were only set to 125Hz instead of 1000Hz, and didn't come with N-key rollover out of the box. But I guess those aren't nearly as bad as the rest of the problems, as even my VAST 60s PCB didn't have N-key rollover or 1000Hz, and somehow I never noticed. There's also an issue with the backslash hitting the side of the case, scraping it, and then probably the biggest issue, some people had the screws come stripped from the factory, and tons of other people had super weak screws that broke while they were trying to open the case, again, straight from the factory. So some people could hardly even open their cases up. Hey, besides that, the boards look great. I mean, the external finishes for the most part looked good. Like, look at this orange Saka. Oh wait, there was no orange Saka. That's literally pink. This salmon color at best isn't even close to the renders. This isn't even an issue with a few of the pink boards. It's literally on just about every one of them. Though to be fair, the lighting does affect this a lot. While not a single one matches the renders, they're not that orange. But I still find it crazy how it ended up, and I'm sure glad I did not get the pink. Okay, that was a lot. Let's move on from that and check out how my board came. I have it right here, and it actually looks pretty good. On the outside, it looks just about flawless. Not really any scuffs, other than small marks on the inside of the case, which you don't really notice while actually using the board. It doesn't at all meet the quality standards that we have today, but oh well. we have bigger issues. The Z and X key just don't work. I'm not sure about the issue exactly, but honestly, I'm too lazy to flash V on this board anyways, as I'm not really going to be using this board too often anymore on my desk. Because overall, the board's kind of mid. It looks fantastic though, I'll give it that. I really like the geometry and all the angles and the brass logo. I think it goes really well with the black on white set I put on it. The configuration I have here is E-Way with the hot swap PCB, which costed $250, which is not really the best value all things considered these days. Because I got the E-White coating, that added an extra $40 on top of the $200, and then the hot swap PCB added $10 on top of the original price for the soldered PCB. It's not the worst value in the world if you get a non-E-Way color, because then it's just $210 and you get a pretty decent looking keyboard, assuming you don't get it with all those other issues. But with the offerings we have these days, it's definitely not the best value. I also got extra plates that were made second hand and shipped way before the board did, such as a palm plate and a forged carbon fiber plate. We'll get into the sound test later, but the sound's kind of underwhelming, which is mostly due to the stiff mounting, I'm pretty sure. It gives it a very clanky, boxy sound, which definitely isn't bad, just not really my favorite type of sound profile. It's not very clean, if that makes any sense. This is completely stock though, no foams included, so at least it's not pingy or anything, despite not having an internal weight. So why not stuff foam into it? Well, the board doesn't come with any foam. That was an additional add-on that I wasn't really able to afford at the time. It was only $15, but that was the price of shipping at the time, so it wasn't really worth my money, and I thought it would be fine without it. That's pretty disappointing considering I literally cannot name a single board these days that doesn't come with at least case foam or PCB foam. There's always some sort of foam that boards come with as like a free add-on. Like you're never having to pay extra for foam. They just include it because like that's super cheap. $15 for foam, I'll be honest, kind of a scam. And also, as you probably guessed, the board feels really stiff as well. It is sandwich mount, which means the plate goes in between the top and bottom housing, which does give it a cool look with the plate kind of spilling through the entire sides of the case. But yeah, like I said, it does lead to a really stiff experience, which isn't really a bad thing, but I do prefer something a tad softer. I think my Vastar 2 and Windex 65 are kind of that sweet spot of not having too much flex, but still being very satisfying to type on without being too soft. Of course, that's all just preference, just like the sound of the board. So here's a sound test comparing the 3 different plate configurations. Tell me what you think below. Personally, I think they're kind of mid. Again, let me know what you think of the sound, but after not that long of using this board, I really got bored of the sound. Just a little side note, I run out of 2U stabs, so this board is basically stabless other than on the spacebar, which I'm using AP2 stabs for. But honestly, I couldn't really be bothered to spend $25 or $30 with shipping for some stabilizers when I'm really not going to be using this board. And hey, 2U stabs working just fine. Can't tell me otherwise. I mean, it's still a nice board, definitely a step up from something like a GK61, which I had before this one a year ago. But after all this time, after all the boards that came out and boards I've gotten, it feels a bit outdated right from the day I got it. When we have manufacturers running huge in-stock sales or fulfilling group buys in under 3 months, sometimes even 1 month, which was the case for my VAS 60, I really don't see myself trusting CMM Studios, the creators of this board, for any other purchases of myself. So yeah, overall, it's a board that I would have loved a year ago. Squid the cat. Squid the cat.